Is it possible you're actually being too alpha to be successful with women? I believe in a lot of cases the answer is yes, but mostly that's because what you have been led to believe is alpha, what you've been taught by articles, even other dating coaches about what is alpha, is flat out wrong. And I want to give you an example of this from a student I had this weekend on my boot camp here in Miami. This was a student who was good looking, successful, wealthy, had his shit together, had lots of reasons to believe he was a high value alpha guy. He had also studied a lot of game, even studied with other coaches, and so he had this firm belief that he does not bend for women. And you know what? That idea, I don't bend, I don't go to her, I don't supplicate, I don't give in to anything. It sounds great on paper. It sounds really masculine and strong, but it doesn't fucking work in the real world. What ended up happening was that he would come into conflict with girls. He would get into situations where the girls would just think he's rude and give up on the interaction with him. Or he'd come to situations where he could escalate and move things forward, but in order to do that, he had to give in just a little bit, and he wouldn't. He would be hesitant to go buy a girl a drink, or hesitant to take a girl to another place if it involved like paying a cover or something like that. The worst example of all of this is we were bringing girls to a tantra party, a party where you were going to do sexual things with the person who you were with at that party. And my other coach who was arranging the party, he also arranged for our students on the boot camp to go meet these girls and drive them to the party, or technically Uber with them to the party. Now the students were coming on that trip anyway. They were taking an Uber there anyway. All they had to do was go a few minutes out of their way, take an extra stop on the Uber to pick up two hot girls. And one student was totally down for it. The other student, the one I'm talking about here, he was like, no, I don't want to give her a ride. I don't want to supplicate. I don't want to give in like that. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? I convinced them to do it. They met up with the two girls and they had one of the most epic nights of their life because of it. But the point is this, not supplicating, not giving into your frame, holding your value. It's a principle, it's not a rule. And there are three huge problems if you are too firm about it. Here's what they are. Number one, being too firm or rigid about anything in game makes you look tryhard, even if you're being firm or rigid about a good idea. If you're like, I will not buy you a drink, absolutely not, under no circumstances will I buy you a drink, it makes you look stiff and robotic and like you care too much, right? Especially if you're already wealthy, right? I won't buy you a drink, I can afford it, I won't do it, I won't do it. Why not? Why is it such a big deal for you? Because my frame. When you're thinking that way, it makes it appear like you're insecure about your frame, which is exactly what's actually true, right? If you're actually secure about your frame, you can drop it and pick it back up again. That's the thing with power. Any power you hold in life, you should be able to set it aside and pick it back up at will. Otherwise, you don't hold the power holds you. If you can't drop your frame occasionally and still own the frame in the conversation, you don't actually own the frame. If one tiny little crack in your frame is enough to ruin your entire interaction, you're not doing good game. So in practice, the very thing this student was doing to try and be high value made him look rigid, try hard, and low value. The second reason these rigid frame control rules are utterly stupid is because in game, you're usually making trade-offs. Almost everything you do in game is a trade-off. It's not purely beneficial, right? In game, almost everything you do that builds value destroys a little bit of comfort. Every time you show non-neediness and ability to walk away, you make the girl feel a little less comfortable about whether she can keep you. Every time you're being committed and nice and available to the girl, you make the girl wonder, does he really have this value? Why is he being so committed and nice? And what you have to decide in a lot of cases is which is more beneficial. Is the gain in value worth the loss in comfort? Is the gain in comfort worth the loss in value? And as long as you're in general winning on net, you win in game. You do something that builds a lot of value and reduces comfort a little, and do something that builds a lot of comfort and reduces value a little, on net you've increased both value and comfort. But both of them were compromises. Both of them had a sacrificial element to it. And that's the way game works. It's not absolute. And there is almost no move in game that is 100% good. It's almost always a trade-off. So here's what you need to do. You need to win the war. Don't win every battle. Sometimes losing a battle is part of winning the war. You need to keep in mind the forest instead of worrying about every single tree along the way. The third huge problem with being too absolute in your frame is that if you're always winning, you're actually going to lose overall. That's because over time, the girl needs to win you over. What you need to be is a guy that is so high value that you can give her value from time to time without ruining the dynamic. If you're at a 10 level value and she's at a 6 level value, and this is not attractiveness or rating people or whatever, but if your value is clearly higher than hers, you can bring her up. make her a more valuable person from the interaction with you, and still keep a value gap. That's what you want to be doing. You don't want to be gaming by tearing her value down. You want to game by being so high value you can bring her value up without risking the value gap. And the progression you're going to have in game is at first you're kind of pushing the girl away. Not sure if I like you yet. Then she's going to be winning you over. You're winning me over. And then later on, I like you, but I'm still high value. I like you, but you still have work to do. Over time, there is a progression. The girl can see she's getting closer to you. The girl can see a light at the end of the tunnel. If the girl thinks there's no chance of ever getting into a relationship with you, the girl thinks there's no chance you'll ever like her, eventually she's just gonna give up. If you're just like, no, fuck off, go away, hands off the merchandise, I don't like you, step away, how do you roll with this girl? And it's just push away, push away, push away. Eventually she's like, well, I guess he's pushing me away. I guess he's not interested. Okay, bye. And then either the interaction's over or your only solution is like, no, I didn't mean it, baby. And then you just undermine everything you just did. So you need to let the girl win. You need to be high value and bring her up to your value. You need to let her gradually win you over. If you never bend or never break in your frame, there's no win for her. She's gonna eventually give up or just get pissed off. So if never bending on your frame and having to always win and being strong at all costs is not alpha, then what is alpha? Well, let's look at what alpha was historically. Within a pack of wolves or a pack of human beings, the alpha was the strongest, most capable individual. But that strongest, most capable individual shared with the group. They brought the most meat to the table, shared the most with the group. Therefore, the group was loyal to them and helped them as well. And everybody benefited. That's what you need to be as an alpha guy. You have a lot of value, but the purpose of your value is to share it. To share it with those who are worthy. To share it with those who are cooperating and sharing back with you, certainly. You don't want to just get used. You don't want to be the alpha and just go hunt and bring it to everybody else and not eat any yourself. That would be silly. And you don't want to just hunt, share the meat, and only get the portion you hunted for. Point is that human beings on net collaborate and make things better. In a relationship, you and the woman are both better off than you were individually. So as an alpha, you are bringing more value to the relationship than she is. But she's still bringing a lot of value, and she's bringing unique value you couldn't bring yourself. For example, you can't have sex with a woman by yourself. You can do that with her. You can't have kids by yourself. You can do that with her. You can't have that wonderful feminine energy that makes your life better and more enjoyable all by yourself without her. Similarly, she can't provide those masculine things without you. You have a mutually beneficial arrangement. It's great for everybody. And as the alpha, you have so much value to provide, you're providing more than she is. You're both better off and you're bringing her up to your level. That's what being an alpha is. So ironically, a huge part of being an alpha is being secure enough that you have an abundance of value that you can share some of it. The other prerequisite, obviously, is building that abundance of value. Having an interesting life, being in the gym, building your resources, making the most of yourself, having interesting experiences that you can share, being good in bed and caring to be good in bed. All of these different things are things that you can share. You work on yourself, you build your value up, so you have this stuff to share. Now, there is a very brief period in game at the start of the interaction where the girl may not know yet that you are alpha. She may not know yet how abundant you are. In this very thin sliver of game, usually at the start of the interaction, it is sometimes important to polarize or give a girl a hard time or show a willingness to walk away so that you show you're abundant, you show you're not a needy person. As soon as the girl knows you have value, it's time to start giving some of your value to her, accepting some value back, and having an interaction that is net positive. There will still be zero-sum elements, still little wins that you have and little losses she has, but on net, you are both winning. I hope that clarifies some things for you. I hope that gets you past this I must hold my frame and never give in at any cost mentality that a lot of guys have. Again, being alpha is about having a lot of value, but it's also about sharing that value. So remember that, go out, enjoy, and I'll see you on the next video.